CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Johnson. Hudson Mack is away tonight. A woman who has been charged with kidnapping her own child 18 years ago has been denied bail. 54-year-old Patricia O'Byrne appeared in a Toronto court this morning. She was arrested last week in Victoria on charges of parental abduction. Her lawyer had argued earlier this week that O'Byrne should not be kept in custody, that she is not a flight risk, and people should hear the whole story before condemning her. O'Byrne's lawyer says he plans to have the bail decision reviewed.
Do I have any doubt about bringing this review? Absolutely not. And it'll be brought as soon as we can. Unfortunately, we have to wait until a transcript is prepared of these proceedings, and my concern is we won't be able to get it on before the new year.
Will it make it harder for reconciliation with her dad?
I'm not going to talk about some of the submissions that were made in court at this time or make an argument for or against bail. I'm bringing a review. This person, like anybody else, is presumed to be innocent until the Crown proves its case beyond a reasonable doubt.
O'Byrne is accused of abducting her then-infant daughter in May 1993 while in the midst of a custody dispute with the girl's father. A publication ban now prevents us from identifying the 20-year-old woman involved in the Patricia O'Byrne case. Detectives say they're now expanding their investigation to friends and family members who may have helped her. O'Byrne will be back in court December 21st. An audit of BC Community Corrections has found that only 35% of offenders are completing programs intended to stop them from reoffending. BC's Auditor General says probation officers are overworked and don't always make sure offenders complete training before they finish serving their sentence. The audit covered 24,000 people who served their sentence in the community, either on bail or through probation or recognizance orders. The Auditor General has made 8 recommendations to fix the problem, including a provision that offenders complete their intervention plans and the progress be documented by probation officers. Ports in British Columbia are one of the main points of entry for many goods entering the U.S. The border agreement means Canada will exchange more information on Canadian travelers and visitors with the U.S. in order to improve security and speed up movement across the border. Both countries have been working on harmonizing regulations on things such as vehicle standards and the regulation of food. A professor at Royal Roads University says some people may see the deal as a threat to their privacy.
For instance, in the trade deal, for instance, if you're harmonizing your products with the United States, does this mean to say that the United States will be able to foist or push American products onto Canadian shelves, etc.? In terms of privacy, there's definitely an issue there, whether people want to give up their data, because this is the first time that Canada will take note of people who are exiting its borders. So that's a fairly large step.
More than 200,000 people and $1.8 billion worth of goods cross the border each day. High school students in Victoria are getting the chance to connect with people across the globe to learn more about environmental education. One classroom received a rare opportunity today to chat with colleagues in South Africa via Skype.
And we'll see what comes out of it from the next couple of days, because it definitely gave a lot more life in the conference.
Students at Claremont High are keeping in touch with a Victoria youth group based in Durban thanks to technology. 6 people from the island and Vancouver fundraised their own way overseas to attend the UN Climate Conference. The Fund Society and YESBC Connect group is sharing their experiences by producing daily reports for the classroom back home. Despite Canada not resigning onto Kyoto, the environmental group says it is determined to find positive news out of the global conference.
After hearing that people are willing to make changes and negotiate, it's pretty optimistic. I felt like it's really important to actually interact with people on the other side of the world. We're always told that it's a global community and we need to act together, but it really doesn't feel like that unless you actually start talking to people on the other side of the world who care as much as you do.
I think youth can have a tremendous impact because they may not be voting this year, but they will be very soon. And I think it's incumbent upon government to listen to them and listen very carefully, because these are the people that are going to lead us into a sustainable future.
The UN Climate Conference wraps up in Durban this week. There's some good news and some bad news in the latest forecast for winter weather in BC. A meteorologist with AccuWeather says it could be the coldest winter in the southern interior in the past 10 years. And it could also be among the top 3 coldest in the past 20 years for Vancouver and Victoria. The good news says AccuWeather, a weaker than expected La Nina system, could result in lower than normal snowfall. The federal government is tightening its belt and asking Veterans Affairs Canada to cut back on spending. Veterans are now voicing their concerns, saying budget cuts will have a negative effect on veterans and their families. The Conservative government has asked all federal departments, including Veteran Affairs Canada, to participate in a strategic review of spending. Veterans Affairs employees have been asked to reduce spending by 5 to 10%. In the last spending review, it looks as if the government intends to cut 500 jobs between now and 2015, which is more than projected cuts. The Veterans Affairs Union says cuts will hurt new clients, younger veterans, whose cases take more time because most of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress.
More job cuts, but not less work. The department's reports shows that the number of clients didn't decline as much as expected. We cannot compare today's clients with the World War II and Korean veterans. While those first generation's clients are already pensioned and looked at, VIP'd for most of them, the new clients are more complex because they have to be looked at more precisely by case managers as well as client service agents.
In 2010-2011, only 50% of the service standards were achieved at Veterans Affairs. The Union of Veterans Affairs Employees represents around 2,400 people. The province has come up with more of the money it promised for parent groups that helped pay for playground equipment at schools. The government says nearly $2.5 million is being returned to parent advisory councils that raised the money for equipment in more than 100 elementary and middle schools. On Vancouver Island, PACs at 4 schools in the Souk District, 3 in the Cowichan Valley and 4 in the Campbell River District will be reimbursed. Education Minister George Abbott says the councils can use the money to buy more equipment to make playgrounds accessible to students with disabilities. The province says the next phase of the program will see about $3.6 million handed out for playground upgrades, repairs, and replacements. Parents at Victoria's inner-city school George J. Elementary say their playground needs urgent upgrades and hope they will be on that list. Seniors were invited to Government House today to get into the Christmas spirit. They came from up and down the island this afternoon for the annual Seniors Christmas Tea celebration. They were sipping on an assortment of hot teas and coffee as a choir sang for all the guests. Lieutenant Governor Stephen Point welcomed the group and even joined in on the holiday festivities. Guests say they love this holiday event.
The tea's green. I'm on my second cup.
Well, I think the fact that there's a tremendous decoration for Christmas gives you a very Christmassy atmosphere, and the entertainment of this choir of young people is just absolutely fabulous.
I think it's lovely. I think it's an honor to be invited, and it's my honor to be here.
Every year, the Lieutenant Governor hosts 2 tea parties at Government House for seniors who are living in a residence near Government House.
CTV News, Vancouver Island Report.
Good evening. Nanaimo RCMP are asking for your help to track down 2 men who attacked and robbed a man in a wheelchair. It happened on Friday night, but it wasn't reported to police until several days later. Police say the attack took place when a 61-year-old man living in a care facility on Heckett Street went outside about 10:30 Friday night to have a cigarette.
And I just lit the cigarette, took a puff. All I heard, because it was dark, was just a bit of rustling. And then the next thing, I was completely tossed out of the wheelchair, which landed on top of me. They were using a short type club, and because I wouldn't give them my wallet, the beating started, and it continued on my head and my facial, and then my kidneys. So I really thought that they were going to kill me.
After the attack, the victim stayed in his room for 2 days, and it wasn't until he emerged and staff saw his injuries that police were called.
It's affected me a lot. I'm a peace-loving man. The people in the community know that. When I shut my eyes, it's like a movie sometimes. And it also hurts when I think about it, even though I'm not being hit. So I have just such different feelings. But I'm glad that I did report it and that it was me and not one of the healthcare workers or the staff members leaving here at night.
Anyone with information on this attack and robbery is asked to contact Nanaimo RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Mounties in the Oceanside region are hoping you can help track down thieves who stole a hydraulic lift designed to assist people with disabilities. It was taken early Monday morning from a locked building at Oceanside Place. Police believe it happened sometime between 3 and 5 in the morning, and they say the thieves were likely driving a dark Chrysler van.
Individuals entered a compound, a fenced compound where there was a shed, forced their way into the shed and removed a number of containers of oil and fluids, as well as a hydraulic lift, the type of lift that is used for putting somebody in and out of a bathtub. We have video from the area in which a dark-colored Chrysler van was noted to be driving.
If you recognize the van in the surveillance photos, or if you have any information about who could be responsible for the crime, you're asked to contact Oceanside RCMP. A new North Island tourism centre that will serve as a welcoming point to visitors is nearing completion and could open well ahead of schedule. The new Vancouver Island Visitor Centre is located in the COMOX Valley and will offer tourists information on attractions and activities. Today, members of the media were invited inside for a sneak peek. The drum-shaped building includes an experience gallery where visitors can get a hands-on look at some of the recreational opportunities that are offered up island.
The project itself speaks to the rest area, the visitor services area, and then the experience gallery, which we're in right now. And it's going to allow the visitor to learn about our ecosystems, our environments, our alpine, our forests, our oceans, and at the same time get a bit of a taste of some of the tourism experiences they can have in those regions. And I think when this does open, I think the community and the region that it serves will be proud.
The official opening is still scheduled for April 1st of next year, but the facility could open well ahead of that target date. Well, love them or hate them, they are a symbol of the holidays, the poinsettia. This week we got a lesson on how to take care of the festive plant. The tip from gardeners: when buying a poinsettia, make sure it hasn't been exposed to any cold temperatures. And when watering them, make sure you take it out of the foil.
Look for one that's healthy, green, no yellowing leaves, full. And I also will do one other thing. I'll stick my finger into the soil when I buy it, because these plants like to be relatively moist. If that soil feels really dry, then it probably is not a good sign that that's going to be a plant that's going to last for very long. Poinsettias very quickly drop their leaves if they're not happy.
If you want your poinsettia to last longer, keep watering it, followed with regular trimmings. By the time fall rolls around, keep the plant in a dark, cool environment so it can rebloom.